I have another storage organization idea to share with you. And this one came about because lately I've been making a bunch of decorated papers and ephemeras and things, you know. We've done, I have videos for this eco-printed paper. We did some chippy painted paper. We made some avocado dyed paper. You know, we've had several different paper techniques, not to mention all of the just random painted papers that we end up with. So we've probably all got stacks and stacks and stacks of paper, right? And some of you have great storage organizing solutions for that, some maybe not so much. So here is an idea for you. This is also great if you have very limited space and limited supplies. You know, like you've just got a few random sheets of painted papers or just a small stack of painted ephemera or even just your magazine cutouts. You just, you know, you don't have a need for a big file folder system like I showed recently. You just have a few things. So this is also a good idea for you. And what I'm using is one of my vinyl custom keepers that you can find in my Etsy store, but this is not a requirement. You can use any kind of a journal cover like this that has a similar string binding. You know, even just a handmade cover with the rubber bands or strings wrapped around where you can slip stuff under, that's all you need. So if you have custom keepers, you know, that's great. This is another awesome use for them. But if not, don't feel like you have to run out and buy one. You don't. Just use what you have or just make you a cover with a string binding. Now, okay, here's what I did. This is super simple, really easy. But, you know, just in case you haven't already thought of it, I'm going to show you. Here's what I thought I would do in the beginning, and it was because I had a bunch of these eco-printed papers. This is what started it, and I thought, all right, what am I going to do with this? I can just add them to a pile, and there they are. But I'd really rather keep them someplace where I can kind of organize them, because I have some envelopes, I have some small pieces, I have some larger pieces of watercolor paper, and what if I want to separate those and kind of organize them? So here's what I thought I would do. I had this empty custom keeper. This is the full size. It holds an A5 bound notebook or an A4 sheet folded in half, which is like a standard letter size piece of paper, nearly. And I had these envelopes right here. So I thought, here's what I'll do. I will use these in here like this, like that, cut the sides open, and, you know, make me a little folder thing, which is great. The theory was great. My size was wrong. These, of course, I ended up, because they're too long this way, they have to fit underneath my elastics. So that's no big deal. I'll just fold them down, seal this end shut, because I'm going to cut this one open, right? Cut that one open. My small sheets fit great, but some of my bigger sheets, well, this is not one of them, but I have some square sheets, they stuck out like that. So that wasn't what I wanted. So I decided I needed to use a bigger cover, and I upgraded myself to this is the composition size custom keeper. And I went ahead with this plan, which I will show you. I believe that wasn't the first one. This one was the first one I did. And you can see what I did here. I will show you. See, I didn't even bother to put the envelopes in the same direction. I've got one upside down. And you know, I don't really think it through. But the process worked. You take two envelopes, you know, seal them, seal the ends. If they open on the long end, you know, then that's great, you're golden. But if not, if they open up here like this, you want to seal them shut to the length that you need. And for the composition size custom keepers, these fit full size. But you know, depending on what size keeper you have and what size stuff you need to hold, you might need to adjust. Seal them shut, cut this open, tape them together. I left about a quarter inch to a half inch gap in between, and then I've got this little action going on. You see what I'm saying? Is that where I had it? I don't remember. Okay, let's pretend it is. There we go. Super simple, and then you can slip your little papers inside and hold them. Right? Okay, so what if you don't have envelopes that are the right size, or you just don't have envelopes at all? Alright, let me show you. And I got this to show you, you can do it for little bitty ones too. This is a field note size custom keeper, and I just put 2 small envelopes together, and I was able to just put them together by their flaps because they open out to the side. I can do them like this, or I can do them the other way. You know, you can attach them like, what did I do? Here's what I did. I just sealed that one up, put it in there, sealed it together like that, and then you've got your 2 little pockets. You can do it that way, or you can turn them around so the flap is at the outside, the opening's at the outside, and then tape them together right here so they're like that, or like that, you know, whatever you want. But that's just 2 envelopes is all you need. Okay, let's say you don't have envelopes. You don't have envelopes of any size. What I recommend is finding an envelope that's about the size you need, taking it apart, and make a template. If you can't do that, you can probably find some templates online. I doubt you'll be able to. If they're small, you can print them out, you know, on your home printer. If they're larger, maybe not. But you might be able to use that as a guide to make it bigger. Now here's what I did. I had a mailing envelope. I did this years ago because I was really into making my own envelopes out of, you know, maps and stuff like that. So I just had it was like one of those manila mailing shipping envelopes. I took it apart and I traced around it and made a template on, this is just poster board. So that's how I got my envelope template. And what you can do is just use any paper you have to make your own envelope using your template. Okay, I already had this template, and it's a little bit big for my composition size custom keeper, but you know, like I showed you on the other one, you can just fold it down more. I'm not going to bother altering my template to fit this because I'm not going to be making tons and tons of envelopes this size. I don't need them. You might. I don't. So this template is fine. It's a little big, and I'll show you how to kind of size it for what you need. But I'm using drop papers to make my envelopes using my template for my custom keeper. And I've got some of my eco-printed papers in here. These are the ones that stuck out of the other one and made me realize that I needed to, you know, bump it up a size or 2. So this is what I'm making. Just 2 pieces of drop paper. You can use your painted papers. You can use old maps. You know those map things that they sometimes put inside of a National Geographic? Those are great because they fold out really big. Anything that will fold out to the size that you need, which may vary. So I've got this piece of drop paper that I've had for quite a while. All this tape on the back is to cover the little holes, because you know sometimes you just see wear and tear, even you just get little holes in it. It happens. I'm using artist tape, which is just kind of a high quality masking tape, to both cover the holes or tape up the holes, and to tape my 2 sides, my 2 envelopes together to go into my keeper. So that looks pretty good. Got my holes taped up on that one. This is another one. This was done on finger paint paper. It started out as drop paper, but I had a specific project I was doing, and it ended up with just a couple of colors on it. So I kind of finished it out as a painted paper. But I think it has some, I thought, yeah, there's a hole right there. I'm just going to tape that shut from the inside. Now I'm going to lay my template down and kind of pay attention to what it's going to have on the back. I really like this kind of blue section right here, so I want that on my finished envelope. Lay it down. I'm going to trace around it. I have this Sharpie on hand, so that's what I'll use to do, oops, that. And you can take the time to use a ruler, you know, make this perfect, measure it out. It's not that important to me. I'm just, you know, I don't care if it has kind of a carefree, handmade, fun look and feel to it. So now I'm going to cut out my pattern. Now once you have your pattern cut out, then you just fold it up like an envelope. I've made lines on here to show where to fold it, but I don't really need those. I just kind of eyeball it. I know it needs to be about right there and right there. And then this side, right there. My paint's a little crunchy on the edges and is cracking, and that's okay. And then this bottom flap folds up. Now you can tape this together, you can glue this together, you can use plain paper decorated after the fact, you know, whatever. I'm going to use a little bit of this Helmar Premium Craft Glue. This is similar to Helmar 450, Beacon 3-in-1. Just a clear glue that grabs hold really fast and holds tight. You could use even just a PVA will work, a glue stick, a good glue stick will work. You know, just glue, this doesn't matter. Whatever paper glue you like, you're just gluing paper to paper. And there we go. Now you will want to see if you need to adjust the size to fit in your custom keeper. Well, before I do that, let's make the other one, because you do need two, right? You need two. So I'll make the other one. This was on probably some kind of shipping paper. Kind of like this side better. I think I'll do here. And same thing, trace around it, cut it out. Okay, now I've got both envelopes done. So let's get my composition sized keeper out. And I really just kind of look at the string and eyeball it, you know, just to see how far down it needs to go. And it's going to be about like that, right there. If you want a more precise measurement, you just go for it. Yep, that's about right. And fold them both the same size. You can put, you know, any size you want in here that's smaller than this or than your strings. But for the big envelopes, you know, they have to, or it's easier, let me put it that way. They don't actually have to, but it's much easier if they fit your strings. All right, now, got them both the same size. I'm going to seal this end shut. Now I'm going to open up one end, and here's where I wanted to, this is where I failed on my first one. It's kind of, you know, I want them both right side up just because that's what I want. Doesn't really matter, but okay. So if I put the tape here, they're going to fold like this. That means this is the edge I need to cut open on both of them. And I believe they fit just about right. Yeah, they do. I don't need to take off much. So I'm just going to take off like 1/8 of an inch maybe. That first little line on my doodah. Because I can always trim off more if I need. There we go. Now, open ends are opposite of each other. Right here is where I want my tape. So what I'm going to do, this I consider my back side. It's got the flap. Again, doesn't matter. But aesthetically for me, this is the way I want it. So I'm going to take my first piece of masking tape. It's going to be slightly smaller than the length here. I've separated them about just a little less than 1/2 of an inch. You don't need any more than that. And then tape them together like that. Now, if you want to take the time to measure and be precise and make sure you have the same amount of overage on this one as you do on this one, well, you just go for it. And I'm not going for that, okay? Just saying. Alright, so it's going to fit in like this. Oh yes, that's lovely. Now I need to do this back side, and I'm going to pull off a piece that is longer than my length by about 1 inch or so on both ends. So, you know, about like that, because I want it to wrap around. Place it down. Again, kind of eyeballing it. You do what makes you happy. And then fold it over, because you don't want any exposed sticky on either side. Burnish these down good, and there is your folder storage pouch pocket organizer for your custom keeper. Okay, let's give it a test run. It goes in just like that, and now you can put in whatever painted paper, ephemera bits, magazine images, collage fodder you want in there, and then this will sit neatly on your shelf, right? Okay, I know you're wondering about the plastic sleeve I have in there, right? Because I didn't say anything about that yet. This is just 2 sheet protectors sewn together. This is very similar to what I did in the video where I showed making my collage cutout storage system, and I took the 2 sheet protectors and I sewed them to the file folder. Exactly the same concept. Instead of sewing them to the file folder, I just sewed them to themselves. Just overlapped and then ran a straight stitch right down the middle where they overlap. Now, one end is going to be open, and it's the short end up here, and that's not what I want. So I sewed it shut just like I did for these, and then I cut open the long end so that it would open out on the sides. Okay, see, sewed it shut, and I did have to trim it off a little bit so that it would fit, and then I opened these ends so that I get this going on. So you could actually make several of these in, you know, different sizes or whatever you want, nest them in with each other, and use this for your ephemera collage bit storage system. You know, if you don't have enough to where you need individual file folders, this would be great. And look at that. And then your larger pages, if you're thinking, okay, but I have full sheets of stuff that are not going to fit in these because this custom keeper is too small. And I really don't have one that's a size that will hold like a full sheet of paper without folding it. And this is not a big deal. You can see I have some painted papers folded in here. You don't have to fold a crease in them. You can just gently fold them over so that when you're ready to use them, there's no crease to deal with. There might be a little bend, but that straightens right out. So don't feel like, well, I don't want to use this because I don't want to fold my papers. Well, you don't have to fold them hard. Just fold them easy. All you need to do is just, take your stack of whatever kind of papers you're wanting to put in here. Let's say you have a stack of book pages. Just fold it over like that. Don't crease it. Just fold it gently and then put it in. And there you go. So you're not going to ruin your pages by putting them in. Just don't fold them hard. Just give them a gentle fold over. Don't crease them. And then they can easily be flattened out when you're ready to use them. So you can use these to store your painted papers, your dyed papers, your decorated papers, your small papers, your regular papers, your ephemera bits, your collage fodder, all kinds of stuff. And if you are interested in custom keepers, my shop is stocked full right now, even the bigger sizes. I have options for these large composition size keepers. I also have some of the scrapbook paper size they're taller than these, but they're more narrow. And I have every size underneath that fully stocked and available. Some really cool prime cuts. So check those out. Or use what you have, or make your own. Make your own string-bound journal. And these really simple little envelope things taped together, couldn't be easier, and use it to store your stuff. Because this is just gonna, this is gonna sit neatly on a shelf, and you could even put like a little tag or something, hang it from here to say what it is. If you want to go there, I would go there. So, I hope that helps. I hope that gives you some ideas for managing your stuff. That is all. The end.